Welcome back to another episode of the Transform Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrnia, and today we're talking about something every one of us needs, but few of us ever thought, and that is emotional resilience. Life doesn't come without pain, disappointment, anxiety, or unexpected setbacks. The question isn't whether we'll experience difficult seasons. The question is, how do we come through them stronger instead of broken? My guest today is Jhiree Davis Jones, a licensed professional counselor, national certified counselor, entrepreneur, speaker, author, and founder of Cherry Blossom Healing. For more than a decade, she's helped individuals, families, and children improve their emotional well being and discover practical pathways towards healing. So, if you've ever wondered how to better manage stress, support your children emotionally, or build resilience that lasts, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Jari.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I feel like I'm at a party with that name. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. All right. So I want to start off by setting the table to understand your work a little. Your counseling practice is named Cherry Blossom Healing after your grandmother. Tell us that story and why it was important to honor her in this way.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that. So, my practice is named after my grandma. Her name is actually Cherry. So, my grandmother raised me from about 4 years old until I was 12. I would say for the rest of my life, right? They never stopped raising you.
Right, right, right.
um, and so, prior to me, she had watched me go through all of my educational experiences and she had been supportive. And so, after I graduated, my grandmother passed away. And so before I opened my practice, I just thought what a way to honor her and have her live on through something that she poured and invested into, right? My education, my growth, who I am. And so, what better way to honor her than to make her be a part of my practice? Every time someone calls, they say her name. And in my logo, there's actually a cardinal bird of her. Both her and my aunt passed away before I opened the practice, so you'll see 2 cardinals there that represents the 2 of them, and so it's
Mm.
really just to honor her name and to have her live on through all of the things that I've accomplished.
Well, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then, of course, it's a beautiful name because, her name was Cherry, but cherry blossoms is a big thing.
Yeah, so that's part 2, right? So cherry blossoms, the meaning of cherry blossoms, right, is that life is precious, that is short, and that we should make sure that we stay present and continue living it, right? And so it is just a beautiful thing, and the 2 of those combined just every single time makes my heart warm.
Yeah, that's actually very good because, right, the cherry blossoms only bloom for 2 weeks, right? So, you've got to be present. You can't say, oh, they're going to be there forever. You've got to,
Just
yeah,
admire the beauty while it's there.
I have gone to DC to see the cherry blossoms and they were beautiful.
Yes.
And there's one time I was watching the 15 most beautiful places to go in the world, and they had one of them was seeing the cherry blossoms in Japan or something. So it's a
I'm on
big
my way. I'm on my way. The family and I are going March to the Cherry Blossom
really.
Festival. I cannot wait. Yes, we're all going March.
That's great, amazing. Yeah, so that's awesome. All right. So, you also have a personal mantra that is, I mean, I've never heard it before, and I can't wrap my head around it. So, I'd love for you to explain it. You
Yes.
say, always secure a plan C for a plan C. What kind of mindset does that come from, and how has that shaped your life? Because I know that when I was, starting my coaching journey, we would tell people don't don't have a plan B. Be very sure of your plan A because when you have a
Mhm.
plan B, which means that you're expecting failure. But I've never heard of a plan C for a plan C. Talk to us about that.
Oh, yes. So the plan C is right, having a backup plan, which I love what you said as well, right? But having a backup plan, meaning that there are several things in life that are completely out of our control. So, what is your backup plan for when things happen to you that are out of your control? For example, when I was driving over here today, right, and I said, "Oh my goodness, my computer is at the office, but if anything happens, I can pull over on the side of the road and I'll have my laptop with me and I'll just jump on my laptop," right? So, that was me saying there are things that can happen that are out of my control. So, how can I have that plan C, the backup to the backup, just in case anything goes wrong? Okay.
So explain the plan C for a plan C. I still didn't get that.
Okay, so plan B, right, would be something that just that could happen on a regular basis, right? So plan B could be, I mean, we're talking about the internet connection, right? When we when we join, just making sure so you would have just another computer. You're already assuming that I'm making it to the office, right? Because I have another computer at the office. But what happens if you don't even make it to the office? Are you prepared for not making it to the office?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right,
that would
right.
be the plan C because you
Plan
thought
C.
it even further than the plan B.
Well, that's good. Okay. Oh yeah, I mean, that is great for technology, right? But how do you coach someone about having all these plan B and plan C? Are you
Mhm.
saying that it's okay to fail? How is that mindset? Tell me about the mindset with that.
Yes, so definitely that well, here's the thing, yes and no, right? Is it okay to fail? Yes, it's okay to fail. I see so many patients. We learn the most of our lessons through failure. We try something, it didn't work, and then you learn how to figure it out a different way. You're like, "Oh, I never looked at it that way before." Right? It causes you to get that insight. And so I say to my clients, just the students that are around me, that it is discomfort that leads to success. What happens when you're scrambling because you can't figure it out? You figure out another way. And so that other way is something that you probably would not have even considered had you not been in that situation of discomfort, right? And so that's pretty much where it comes from. But also when I'm asking my clients to plan, I will say to them, okay, so let's plan. I mean, you call it what you want. One, two, three, A, B, C, whatever it is. You know, the saying is no plan at all is a plan to fail, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
having those things to say, guess what? I trust myself because even if A doesn't go right, I have B. And then even if B doesn't go right, I have C. And so I'm a step ahead of it. I know that, some things can go wrong, but if it does, what am I prepared to do? What am I prepared to change? And they
Y-
absolutely love it because again, our minds are very complex, right? We have all this information coming in and we're trying to deal with so many issues all at the same time. And we've already come up with a resolve, but we didn't write it down. So now we're still recycling the same things. So I say, write it out. What is your greatest fear? Okay, let's move backwards. A, plan B, plan C. And it gives them a sense of calm and the anxiety is kind of like lessened, right? Because now I have a backup for my back.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, well, I agree with that. I agree with that totally. That you should always have and yes, you brought up a good point. Um, uh, I am actually recording on my laptop today because my computer system all of a sudden didn't seem to want to work, and I had to buy a new one. It's coming tomorrow. So my
Uh-huh.
laptop has always been my backup, right? But yes, because you're right. So, I mean, there's no backup for the internet because, whatever, if it don't work, it don't work. But then, for things like technology and so you have a backup. Now, if both my computer and my laptop is down, I have to cancel because I certainly don't have a third laptop.
We have to get
But
you that third one.
right. No, we're gonna have to call and cancel. Sorry. But when let's say that we're playing devil's advocate, you talk about students, right? So if a student comes into you for counseling and they say, okay, I want this career, right? And if this career doesn't work or whatever, I'll go to this career. And if this doesn't work, you're giving them a plan C. A lot of times, because we're creatures that we don't like to push ourselves, right? They would keep going. I don't care if this one doesn't work. I've got this backup plan, or if this one doesn't work, I have this backup plan. Do you find that that affects people's drive because they always think they've got something to catch them?
With the students, I haven't found that. I don't believe that it would affect their drive because everything that they selected came from within, right? It was something that they were passionate about. I
Okay.
always tell my students, as a matter of fact, find yourself work or a job where you never have to work a day in your life. So, what are some
Good.
things that you would do right now for free? And I talk to them about myself. I love therapy so much. I love helping. I love what I do that sometimes I walk out of session and I forget to get paid because I didn't feel like I worked. It's like you did something and you get a bonus for it. Like,
Beautiful. That's
what?
beautiful.
So it just
Yes,
feels like
yes.
there's something extra there because I'm so passionate about it. So when I direct either my students or adults, sometimes we have a second win. I tell my students it's never too late to grow up and it's never too late to want to be something different, right? And so I really encourage them to be intentional about what it is that they're putting their energy into. And because you're students, you have a while. So I love to give them those three options as early as possible. I work with eighth graders going into high school, right? They're doing that transition. And now they're forcing them to pick a career eighth grade and then focus on that career throughout high school. And so I'm like, wait, wait, wait. Like, okay, so let's give them exposure to all these things. So then maybe they can narrow it down. But to choose three things intentionally. And so I don't even call it work when I'm working with students like that early. It's like, what are things that you enjoy doing? And then from there, I give them occupations that match those interests.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. Right. Yes, that's very good. Because yeah, I heard you said the word students and that's and that's what I picked up on. Because yeah, but you're right. That's excellent. Because if it's coming from a place of passion and it's not coming from I mean, when my daughter was in school and when I was in school, you had a guidance counselor that would pick. In fact, I heard something today that I was reading a book and they're saying that 98% of people don't like their work
Mm.
because they picked it not the way you're telling people to pick it by what you're passionate and what you would do for free. They don't have that choice. The guidance counselor or somebody told them, hey, you know what? Like maybe everyone is going in AI now. I don't know if
Want to
there's
make
more,
money?
but
Here's what you do, you make money. It's like, no.
yeah, exactly. I remember when I picked computers, for my degree because they're saying computers were coming around and you should have, but I didn't have any aptitude to program because that was not my brain set. You know what I mean? So I learned computers and then I sold them. Because it wasn't anything. I am not a computer programmer. You know what I mean? It's not my skill
Yes.
set. It's not my mental fortitude. But everybody says you need to learn computers, right? And that's what
Right.
that's the kind of vocation you would go into because somebody says that this is what they look at the highest paid jobs and they're saying, well, this is the one you should go into. And it's not coming from your personal preferences, your
Right.
personal skill set, or any of that. So yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, so if that one doesn't work, then you go to B and then you go to C or whatever, and then you find yourself at 50 years old and you've chosen all the wrong careers, right?
Yes.
but
Yeah.
but it's good to have a plan, and you're right. If you don't have no plan, then you plan to fail. So it's good when you're teaching young minds, okay,
Yes.
that you guide them by at least letting them be aware of the things that they can do or the things that they want to do, and then they put a plan together, and so that's good. So, um, all right. So let's transition to mental health now.
Okay.
Mental health is discussed more openly today than ever before, yet anxiety, depression continue to rise. What are the biggest misconceptions people still have about going into therapy? Now, we're talking about your adult clients now. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
think you have therapy for the eighth graders, but
I do. I see all ages here, but yeah, we can focus on adults. Yes.
right, right. But yeah, why do you think there's still a stigma, especially in the Black community, about therapy?
Mm. So I'm going to answer this two ways. One, and I'll get to the Black community second, right? So I think that there's this understanding that therapy is going to fix you, right? You're gonna go in, there's a remedy, and you're gonna be fixed without you doing any work, without you being challenged, without you being stretched, without you having homework, without you having to dig into past traumas and hurt, but you're just going to be healed and it should be fast. If you're going in and you by session 2 and you still don't feel the change or they haven't fixed you, there's something wrong, right? So that's the first thing.
Okay.
Is that therapy is about a collaborative relationship, right? It's about letting the therapist in. It's about feeling safe enough to do that, right? Feeling open enough to be vulnerable and honest about what it is that you're there for. A lot of times people are coming in with presenting problems and they're not being honest originally because they don't have that trusting relationship. And that takes time, right? Just for you to get to know that, hey, I see you, I hear you, I can feel you, I can relate, I understand. Like that takes time to build that relationship. And so just understanding that is going to take time for you to start to see results. And that is also going to take your input and your commitment and your willingness to be self-aware. So it's a two-party interest, right? It's not just one way. And now going shifting into the Black community, therapy was always seen as just being for the crazy people, right? Just crazy people go to therapy. It must be something wrong with you if you're going to
It's true. It's
a
true.
shrink, right? There's something wrong
Mhm.
with you. And also, our culture believes that what happens in the family, what happens in the house stays in the house. So you
Mm.
almost start to feel like you're betraying your family by going in sharing deep, dark family secrets that have only kept you bonded to the trauma instead of saying it, right? Once you say what the trauma is and you own it, you can actually start to heal from it. But if you're hiding it because your family has told you that that is the way to be, otherwise you're going against the family, you're doing something wrong, you're doing something bad. That's what therapy was considered back then. And so that's what was holding us back culturally. And I'm so, so, so proud to see how far we've come.
Yeah, yeah. You think we've come far?
I think we have come far. I am seeing
I still
Black
know a lot of people that would
males
not do
there.
therapy.
Okay, we reach everybody, yeah, but I think by doing things like this, right? They're
Yes,
seeing more
right.
of our faces, them understanding that, hey, there is some place you can go where you don't have to start from scratch. There's someone who understands your terminology. There's someone who understands that when you had a spanking when you was younger, it wasn't like time to call the people and come and remove, you know. So there's someone who understands that that is the way that we brought up. And now what do we do going forward? Right. We have no control of what happened in our past, but what are we going to do moving forward with all of that information, with all of that hurt, with all of those experiences? Are we going to now own them and start to heal from them so that we can do better for ourselves and then for the generations after us, right? Are we going to
Right,
change
right.
something?
Good job. Good job. Amazing. All right. So our topic today is about resilience. So let's talk about resilience now. How would you, first of all, how would you define emotional resilience in the context of this conversation?
Okay, emotional resilience, right, is that the willingness to keep going even through adversity, the willingness to keep going even after pain, the willingness to continue to see the glass half full, because those are choices, right? That is
Mhm.
something that you have to intentionally choose because I base life off of my experiences. People have been mean to me, so I'm going to be mean to people, right? It is a conscious choice to say, somebody was mean to me, but that wasn't about me. It was about their hurt, right? It was
Yeah.
about their stuff. So let me give that back to them and continue being the kind, sweet, considerate person that I am, right? So resilience is to keep going even through all of the terrible experiences that life has thrown your way.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. And also, you're right. It's a way to how we process information because a lot of times, you might want to quit because you're right. Someone has been bad and mean to you, or you might want to give up because you've got all this trauma from your past. But, if you reframe it and maybe speak to a therapist and try to understand what's going on in your body when you have these feelings and try to get it out. And I like what you said. Once you start talking about it and you're aware of it and you're trying to process those feelings, you do begin at the healing process. So yeah, so that's pretty good. And the emotional resilience doesn't only come from trauma from your past or childhood. It comes from dealing with terrible bosses and people at the workplace.
Yes.
And getting through that without wanting to pack up and leave. You know what I mean? So
Well, you
yeah,
might want to, but without actually doing it.
right, right.
I packed my stuff today. Okay, I'm gonna take it back out because my bill is due next week. So let me take it back.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's a lot of emotional and emotional resilience is required to work in some of these offices these days. All right. Well, I'm glad that you brought up trauma because I'm spending a lot of time on trauma now on the show. It's almost becoming like a trauma show. Almost every guest, regardless of the topic, we seem to come right back to this trauma. It seems to be foundational. So, a lot of my listeners have survived childhood trauma. So, can resilience coexist with unresolved trauma? I know the answer to this, but explain it to our
Um,
audience.
Absolutely, right? Can resilience exist without like taking care of what that trauma was? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Hmm.
Yes, it can. I mean, I'm a living witness of it myself. I had a lot of childhood trauma. My mom was addicted to drugs, and therefore, I was abandoned at an early age, and I suffered with a lot of things, such as like depression, low self esteem, questioning my self worth. All of those things exist, right? I know that they're there. I can go open that file cabinet and start crying if I wanted to, but I've decided to put those things aside and now reach for people who may be experiencing something similar because I know exactly what that feels like and I know what that can do to someone if they actually let that control their future, right? And so because I know that, because I'm aware of those things, I choose to use that in a positive, healthy way, right? Reaching back, teaching people what their choices look like. Exposure is everything, letting them know that your past doesn't determine your future.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yes, yes. I like the term that you use, file cabinet, because yeah, I mean, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the women said something so profound, is that your thinking brain or your left brain, whatever happened there, it can't be undone. The only thing you can do is use your right brain to make choices in the present moment. But whatever is there in your left brain is there. You can't remove it. Right? So yeah, so
Permanent
therapists
thing.
like yourself are teaching people how to, yeah, know that the trauma is there, right? But what is going on right in front of you right now, right? Because what is going
Yes.
on right in front of you is the present moment. And people like to go into the past and go into the future, but you're living right now in the present moment. So, being more in control of the right brain and learning to concentrating your breath and meditation, and they're talking about somatic healing and EFT pad tapping and all those things are trying to bring you back to your body and to
Yes.
bring you back to the present moment. So yeah, it was a question that I just wanted you to answer, but I knew the answer already because yes, and that is how you get resilient. You feel those bad feelings and you move through them. Right.
Yes.
Right. And you don't medicate them. You don't try to push them down because they're still, and that's another thing I just learned recently too, that when you push them down, they're still there. Right. It's
You're
like,
suppressing them, right? And they're knocking. Hello, I'm trying to tell you something. Hello, do you feel this? Hello, pay attention to
yeah,
me. And you're like
yeah.
closing the door, closing the door, and it's still there, right? You have to deal with it. Sit with it. I feel this. I know that I feel this. I need to cry. I need to take time to myself. I need to go for a massage. I need to go to the gym. Whatever it is that you need to do to center yourself, pay attention to it because it's happening. You're feeling something and then give yourself time to sit with it and then move on.
Right. Yes. So that's pretty good. Yes. Yeah, exactly. My guests were saying something as simple as going for a walk. Anything of that, and everybody can do that, right?
Yes.
Go
Yes.
outside for a walk, right? And yes, move through them. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Jhiree, this has been an inspiring conversation. I love it. I can see you're very passionate about your work. And
Thank you.
it's always good to see people using their own pain to help others because there's a saying that says, I mean, someone said this to me once and it's so true, that when they're going for a therapist or they're going for a coach or whatever, they want someone that's been through what they're teaching. They don't want
Yes.
them to read it from a book. So I like the fact that you've got your trauma, you've been through it, and you understand. So you can help somebody because you've been through it. You're not just, of course, you're certified and you get the knowledge, but you're also been through the experience. So
Look how they
it-
say, I went through it, I've experienced it, I wrote a book about it. It's From Pain to Purpose. That's the name of the book, My Current Past. It was on Amazon and it did well, but it's nice to connect, right? I'm connecting to an emotion. Now, I may not have experienced exactly what you've experienced,
of
but
course,
I know what that feels like, right? I know
of
what
course.
pain and hurt and worry, right? Disappointment. I know all of those feelings because I've experienced it.
You've experienced it. Exactly. So when you are talking to someone, you're coming from depth. Yes. So you're coming from depth and then your training is allowing you how to help them, but you're coming from that. So all
Yes.
right, tell our listeners about your book, tell them about your coaching practice, Cherry Blossom Healing. And also, and I understand you're a speaker. Talk to us about how they can invite you to speak and if you have any social media handles or anything that you want to share right now.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a book titled My Current Past From Pain to Purpose, and that is about my mom's addiction and how that affected my life growing up as a child. But then the interesting part of that book is that I was becoming a therapist as I was writing that. So as I was educating myself, I was able to go back and insert at the end of every chapter professional discovery. What an aha moment to be
Mm,
able to go back and
yeah,
diagnose yourself and to understand and highlight exactly what you were experiencing and why, right? To
it's
connect those
beautiful.
dots at the same time.
Mhm,
It
mhm.
was the most aha moment for me. And so I am happy to share that journey with you all. Again, that's on Amazon, also on Barnes and Nobles. You can purchase the book My Current Past. I have a practice in Paramus, New Jersey, Cherry Blossom Healing. It's a counseling practice with a group of multicultural therapists. We talked about the importance of cultural competence, right? To have someone there that you feel like you can connect to, whether it's someone that you need to speak Spanish, someone of African descent, someone of Muslim culture, right? So we have a nice repertoire of counselors on hand, and they're equipped and ready to get you to your, through your healing journey. So we are seeing clients both in person, and here's one of the offices. I know it looks like a background, right? But it's my actual office.
Right. Right, right. Nice.
Um,
Mm. I
and we're
like the yellow
also seeing.
couch. I love yellow chair. It's welcoming.
Oh, yeah, thank you. We're also seeing clients virtually, so that expands our reach, right? The virtual
Of course.
platform. COVID came through and gave us all this access, and again, it was a traumatic event that forced us to think differently outside of the box,
Yes.
and then it became the most comfortable thing now for us to do is virtual sessions. I
I
would have
know.
never considered it.
Change the whole world.
Shame though, I would have never considered virtual sessions prior to that. Okay,
Right.
and the next thing is that my social media, handles, everything is Cherry Blossom Healing. So you can find me on Instagram, Cherry Blossom Healing, Facebook. I have a LinkedIn profile, Jhiree Davis Jones. That's Jhiree Davis Jones. And you can email me in case you are interested in any speaking engagements or panels, everything. I'm open to any speaking engagements. You could email me at info@cherryblossomhealing.com. Again, that is info@cherryblossomhealing.com. And I would just love to, hear from you, whether it just be an email with a question about therapy. Maybe you're sitting on the fence about whether or not, it's something that you want to start or whether you feel that you can share in therapy, or if you had a bad relationship with a therapist and you need some motivation to get back out there, just shoot me an email and I am willing to, speak with you because as you can see, I'm very passionate about the field. I love it. I encourage it. And I want everyone, right? It's not just for the privileged, it is for everyone to have the access to therapy because it is truly like what turns the switch for you, right? It helps you to connect so many dots in life and then plan for how you want that future to look. So again, I'm
Yeah,
Jerry Davis
sure.
Jones. Thank you so much for having me, Myra. It's been great.
Yeah, we had a great conversation. That's beautiful. One last question. So your website is cherryblossom.healing.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
The most important information.
www.cherryblossomhealing.com.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So um I will have a snapshot, an article of my conversation with Jhiree on the show page, which is myhelps.us. And I will link out to her website. I'll link out to her book and also link out to her social media handles so that you can, you know, um, reach out to her after this information. I'll also put the email address as well in the show notes so if you wanted to email her. But yeah, I mean, this was a good conversation on therapy. It's a good conversation on being prepared, having a plan. We started off by talking about plan A, B, and C, right? And then we transitioned into mental health. So, yeah, mental health is one of the big topics because yes, so many of us, including myself, had childhood trauma. And yeah, there's a big number. So, when you have childhood trauma, yes, you have unresolved childhood trauma. It's a totally different thing. Then you need to start with a therapist. You need to start talking. And talk therapy is just getting it out, uncorking that bottle and start talking about it. Now, I personally believe that talk therapy alone it doesn't help, but you need to incorporate some other things, and that's what obviously Terry Broshan, coaching helps you, healing, I should say, help you get to because yes, talk therapy I think it's just the start of the journey, and then you need to incorporate some other things into it. So, Jari, it was wonderful talking to you. I love, bringing focus and attention to mental health and, therapy, because you're right. It's the reason I asked the question about our community is our community feels that, right, if you say you got to go to a therapist, they think that someone is saying that they're crazy or something is wrong with them. Right. And then you go to the other side where everybody has a therapist.
Yes. If you don't have one, there's something wrong with you. They're like, "What? You don't have
You-
a therapist?"
Everybody has a therapist. It's like it's like a fashion statement. Honest to goodness. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. And Myra, I wanna add, be wary of a therapist who say they do not have a therapist, because if you believe in it,
That's right. Yes.
why don't you
Yes.
have a therapist?
Just like a coach. You have to have a coach. Right. Yes.
Yes. So I go to
Very
my sessions faithfully.
good. Yeah, because you also had trauma, so you're still working through it, or you might have gotten to the other side, but it's still good for
Yes.
maintenance. Right.
Yes. When you go to that file cabinet, it's
Yes,
there.
exactly. Exactly. Awesome. Yes, and I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind so you can transform your life. Today we're talking about emotional resilience and trauma and having a plan. All right. So good conversation with Jhiree. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you reach out to her if anything in this conversation resonated with you. Thank you, Jhiree, for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, namaste.